What's up, Taiwan? I'm Leslie Liao with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Chinese officials say at least 95 people are dead in Tibet after a powerful earthquake hit the Himalayan region. Rescue efforts are underway with dozens still trapped or missing. Harel Hughes reports.
Rescue workers searched through rubble for survivors after a 6.8 magnitude earthquake struck the Tibetan holy city of Shigatse, leaving a trail of destruction across the city and surrounding area. Shigatse sits just at the foot of the Himalayan mountains and is one of the holiest cities in Tibetan Buddhism. The city and remote mountain areas are home to more than 800,000 people. The earthquake struck here just after 9 a.m., with dozens of aftershocks in the succeeding hours. The powerful tremors were felt hundreds of kilometers away in nearby Nepal and northern India, sending people fleeing their homes and out into the streets.
भनेर म त बच्चाले खाट हल्ला भनेर घचा किन हल्लाउँछ भन्दै कराउँदै सुतिरहेको आएर खाटको हल्लिएछ पछि त अनि झ्याल पनि यसो हेर्छु झ्याल नि हल्लिन्छ अनि भूकम्प आएछ भनेर बच्चालाई चिच्चाएर कराएर तल आइ डराले अहिले दिमाग कस्तो भइरहा.
Chinese President Xi Jinping has ordered all-out rescue efforts in Tibet. But with the high altitude in the remote mountainous areas and below freezing conditions, reaching those most affected may take days, and the death toll is expected to rise. Leon Lian and Harel Hughes for TaiwanPlus.
Officials in Taiwan are telling residents to expect an uptick in jet fighter activity over the next week. That's as the military conducts drills aimed at securing the country ahead of the Lunar New Year holiday. Jaime Okan is in Taichung to find out more.
The Air Force is putting its pilots to the test here in Taichung as part of military drills ahead of the Lunar New Year. Pilots in this airbase in central Taiwan have just 5 minutes to get into their aircraft and up into the sky. This exercise practices emergency takeoffs to simulate intercepting enemy fighters flying close to the country's borders. The base is home to the largest group of domestically made fighter jets known as the Indigenous Defense Fighter, or IDF. Fighters like these are vital to defense, as Chinese military aircraft frequently fly near Taiwan to exert pressure. Over 3,000 Chinese aircraft were spotted near Taiwan last year, with local pilots often intercepting them using the IDF. Even during Tuesday's exercises, Taiwan's Defense Ministry reported Chinese military aircraft operating near the country.
今天中午12点55分左右开始，总共有24架次进入我们的空域活动，其中的18架次逾越中线进入了我们北部、中部、西南以及东部，配合共建来执行联合战备警巡。
Exercises like these will be happening all around Taiwan in the next few days, with more comprehensive exercises like missile defense scheduled for later this week. Officials here in Taiwan are warning of an increased level in military activity as they continue to train how to protect the country. Fu Hua Hong and Jaime Okan in Taichung for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's legislature has approved a controversial measure to raise police officer pensions. The new provision grants officers up to 80% of their final salary or a maximum monthly pension of around $2,200 US. That's more than many other civil servants, including professors and even heads of government departments. Opponents to the measure say the pay gap is unfair and worry national pension funds could run out sooner than expected. Lawmakers supporting the measure argue that the raise is justified given the high-risk nature of police work. Taiwan's vision specialists are battling over who has the right to the English title of Optometrist. Taiwan certifies eye specialists differently from English-speaking countries, leaving gray areas that are at the center of hot debate. John Van Trieste reports.
Hundreds of vision specialists gather at the legislature with a tricky linguistic demand. Officially, the government uses the English word optician to describe these specialists. It's a term for eyeglass and contact experts who fill prescriptions and check lenses. But these protesters say that's the wrong word, with big consequences for this misuse of terms. They say they are really optometrists, a term that implies providing vision care like eye exams, and an entirely different profession. And because of the confusion over English terms, protesters say, they can run into trouble at overseas events like professional conferences. They say reclaiming the term optometrist is a matter of dignity as well as accurate definition. But the issue isn't quite that clear-cut, because Taiwan has different standards for background and experience than English-speaking countries. There are gray areas, and some eye doctors say that these optometrists are no great respecters of definitions themselves, even overstepping their qualifications and potentially hurting patients who don't know better.
有点违法的行为了，有诊断治疗的侵犯医师的权利了。你们可以放弃这些工作，这些诊断治疗的工作吗？我们可以考虑这个名词，他们拒绝了。
The blurry boundaries from one field of vision care to the next, and confusion over how to match Taiwanese terms to English ones, are issues the government says it's considering.
名称甚至在组织的参与或者是相关业务的分工会有一定程度的影响的话，那当然我们得要洽其他我们讲利害关系人士一起讨论。
But there's little patience among protesters for a name change. And with pushback from doctors for non-medical technicians to stay in their own lane, it's hard to see an easy solution or an end in this battle over English. Klein Wang and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
A building has collapsed in New Taipei, forcing 220 people to evacuate from nearby buildings. No one was hurt when the apartment building gave way. Local officials say the building may have fallen due to construction going on next door. Evacuated residents are being housed in a community center while officials investigate the cause of the collapse. Nippon Steel and U.S. Steel are suing the U.S. government for blocking their merger deal. U.S. President Joe Biden blocked Nippon's nearly $15 billion purchase of U.S. Steel, citing national security concerns and fulfilling a campaign promise. The takeover was announced in December 2023, but faced opposition from U.S. labor unions and the White House. The two companies blasted the decision and are saying Biden's block violated due process and was to advance his own political agenda. The world's biggest tech companies are in Las Vegas for annual Expo CES. The hype around AI has carried through to the new year. But another talking point that's come up is U.S. President-elect Donald Trump and how his tariff strategy may impact the tech sector. Joyce Zeng has more.
Doors have opened in Vegas for one of the largest technology shows in the U.S., CES, or the Consumer Electronics Show. On display are the latest gadgets in automotives to robotics, like this electronic pet and this robotic exercise chair. The biggest buzzword, though, is still AI. And to keep up with this major demand for computing, leading chip designers have rolled out a slew of new semiconductors. California-based AMD unveiled a new roster of processors for laptops, desktops, and gaming handhelds. Intel, too, has come out with a new lineup of chips in its first expo since the shock resignation of its CEO, Pat Gelsinger, last month. Interim CEO Michelle Johnston Holthouse said the firm's new chips are more power efficient thanks to AI. Arguably the most highly anticipated product reveal came from NVIDIA, its Taiwan-born celebrity CEO Jensen Huang, showcasing the company's new RTX 50 series graphic cards.
Here it is.
It doubles the performance of its previous generation, marking a breakthrough for challenges like real-time rendering of video game graphics driven by AI. NVIDIA's also packing their computing power into thin, light laptops.
So can you imagine? You got this incredible graphics card here, Blackwell. We're going to shrink it and put it in there. Does that make any sense?
Huang's keynote comes off the back of Nvidia's stock closing at a record high, bringing the company's valuation to $3.66 trillion. Shares of chipmakers across the board have surged, riding on the promise of strong AI-led demand. That includes Taiwan's TSMC, whose shares beat its standing record from the previous day, closing around $35 on Taiwan's exchange TAIEX. The Vegas trade show comes less than 2 weeks before President-elect Donald Trump takes office, and concerns around his campaign pledges to slap widespread tariffs on imports from U.S. trading partners are echoing within the show halls.
While tariffs are a negotiating tool for him, and will have some difficult, even terrorizing moments for the business community and American consumers, innovation in the world will be better off if the best people in the world can be allowed to create products and trade with each other.
Tech innovation is moving faster than ever, and though CES is keeping an upbeat tone focused on the gadgets, uncertainty lies ahead for the sector, with the threat of new government policies that could cost businesses billions. Devin Tsai and Joyce Sin for TaiwanPlus.
A classic of modern Taiwanese art now has a perfect reproduction. The clone was made with the help of high-definition scans, and it's just gone on display at the memorial to its painter. John Van Trieste takes a look.
A woman in a richly embroidered kimono locks eyes with two goats in her path. The scene unfolds against a backdrop of lush foliage, vines growing on a trellis that take up most of the canvas. The English title of this painting has been variously translated as Cool Morning or Coolness in the Morning. But what's not in dispute is that this enigmatic painting is a classic of modern Taiwanese art, and it's been on the Culture Ministry's list of valuable antiquities since 2015. Now, thanks to a reproduction made with a high-definition scan, the work can be displayed in 2 places, expanding its audience. The unveiling of the replica came at the Memorial Center in Taichung that remembers the artist who painted it, Lin Zhizhu, a building where Lin once lived and worked. Lin's son hopes the reproduction of his father's most celebrated painting will bring a greater audience to what his father achieved.
不只是画本身，从巨观上看来的细节，你如果看微观里面，你会发觉他是把精神放在里面，所以这就是不一样的地方。
This 1940 painting is Lin's most famous work and is supposed to have been his favorite. It was painted during Japan's colonial rule over Taiwan, when Lin was a fine art student in Tokyo with big ambitions. This was his entry for a highly selective exhibition to mark 2,600 years of imperial rule in Japan. The idea of a mere student winning over the judges was hard to imagine, but Lin pulled it off, becoming the only entry from a Taiwanese painter to make the cut. Though Lin died in 2008, aged 91, his place in the Taiwanese art firmament is uncontested. He's especially remembered for his mastery of a difficult technique involving painting a mix of glue and pigment onto silk. Some in the art world hope to draw more attention to the glue tempera technique Lin made his trademark and passed down to a generation of younger Taiwanese artists.
邀请相关的艺术家来做展演的活动或师生作品的一些展出，然后透过这样的平台媒介，让社会大众对不管对教材或对艺术创作。 更多的认识。
With the replica's debut, Taiwan now has another way to remember one of its most important painters of modern times, and a chance to rediscover the rest of his life's work. Justin Wu and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, we leave you with images of Orthodox Christians celebrating Epiphany in Istanbul with a traditional ocean plunge to retrieve a wooden cross. I'm Liao. Take care and see you next time.